I still remember that flight like it happened yesterday. I was just 19, first time flying alone. My mom had packed me a little bag of snacks, gave me way too many hugs at the airport, and reminded me 10 times to keep my ID close. I was headed from Atlanta to Los Angeles for a summer internship, my first real step into the world. I felt excited but nervous too. You know that feeling when you're not quite sure if you belong? That was me, standing at the gate in my clean white hoodie and fresh sneakers, clutching my backpack like it had all the answers. I got on the plane and found my seat, 21A, window seat. I smiled at the older lady sitting in the middle and nodded at the guy in the aisle seat. I slid in, put my bag under the seat, and pulled out my headphones. I was just trying to stay low-key. About 20 minutes into the flight, I reached into my backpack to grab the sandwich my mom made me. I was careful, I swear. I unwrapped it slow, kept my elbows in, but as soon as I took a bite, a flight attendant walked by. She stopped cold, looked at me like I'd just lit a fire on the plane. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "You can't eat that here." I blinked, confused. "It's just a sandwich. I said, you can't eat that here," she snapped, louder this time. "Put it away now." I was stunned. Other people had snacks out. The man next to me was eating pretzels. A kid across the aisle had gummy bears. But other people... I started. She leaned in close. "Do you want me to call security when we land?" I felt my throat close up. I was confused, embarrassed. I looked around. People were starting to stare. I didn't want trouble, so I just nodded and wrapped the sandwich back up. My hands were shaking. She stared at me for a second longer, then stormed off. The woman in the middle seat whispered, "That wasn't right." I nodded, but I didn't say anything. I didn't want to cry in front of strangers. A few minutes later, the same flight attendant came back, this time holding a trash bag. Without saying a word, she reached over, grabbed my sandwich, and threw it in. I pulled my arm. Back on instinct, that's when it happened. She slapped my hand away, hard. "Don't touch me!" she snapped. It wasn't just the slap, it was the way she said it. Like I was dirty, like I was less than her. The plane went silent. Everyone saw it. My cheeks burned. I wanted to disappear. The man in the aisle seat stood up. "That's enough," he said. "You can't do that to him." She turned to him, arms crossed. "Mind your business." He was being aggressive. Aggressive. That word hit me like a punch. I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't moved wrong. But somehow, in her eyes, I was dangerous. I pulled out my phone with shaking fingers. I wasn't going to argue. I just started recording. She noticed and tried to block the camera with her hand. "Recording me is a violation of policy," she barked. Then she walked off. I sat there, my heart pounding. I kept the camera rolling just in case she came back. The older woman next to me reached over and squeezed my arm. "I'm so sorry, baby," she whispered. "You didn't do anything wrong." When we landed in LA, I stayed in my seat while everyone else got off. I didn't want to see her again. But then I heard my name over the intercom. "Passenger. Elijah Thomas, please make your way to the gate counter." I sighed. Great. I figured she'd told the staff some story, and now I was going to get in trouble for something I didn't even do. But when I got to the counter, a man in a dark suit was waiting. He smiled gently when he saw me. "Elijah Thomas?" "Yes," I said, nervous. "I'm Daniel Hart," he said. "VP of Customer Experience for this airline. Would you mind coming with me for a moment?" I hesitated, but he looked calm, not like security. I followed him to a quiet office down the hall. There, I found another man already waiting, and that's when I froze. It was my dad. Yeah, that dad. Jameson Thomas, CEO and majority owner of the airline. You wouldn't know it by looking at me. He never flaunted it. He always made me earn things. That internship I was flying to, I got that on my own. He never made calls for me. Said it was important I knew the world without shortcuts. But somehow he knew what happened. I sat down slowly. "Son," he said, voice calm but tight. "Are you okay?" I nodded, still stunned. How did you know?" He looked at Mr. Hart, who said, "Someone on the plane uploaded a video. It's already circulating." My dad reached out and took my hand. "You should never have been treated like that. Not my son. Not anyone." I didn't say anything. I was too choked up. He stood up. "Come with me." We walked down the terminal until we reached a small employee office. Inside, the flight attendant was standing by the counter, arms crossed like she'd done nothing wrong. When she saw me, she rolled her eyes. "You again?" Then she saw my dad. Her face dropped. "Mr. Thomas, I didn't know." He held up a hand. "You didn't need to know. That's the problem." She opened her mouth, but he cut her off. "You saw a young black kid in a hoodie, and you assumed the worst. You embarrassed him, humiliated him, and laid hands on him. That's not just a mistake. That's a pattern," she stammered. "I didn't mean..." "But you did," he said coldly. "And you're no longer welcome to wear this company's uniform." Her mouth opened and closed, but it was done. We walked out together, me and my dad. He didn't say much at first, just put his arm around me. Later in the car, he said something I'll never forget. We were just riding in silence for a while, the city lights flashing past the windows. I was staring out, trying to make sense of everything. I felt tired, angry, embarrassed. But more than anything, I just felt small, like the whole world had seen me as something I wasn't, and I didn't know how to shake that off. Then my dad reached over and put a hand on my shoulder. "You handled that with more dignity than most grown men I know," he said quietly. "You could have yelled. You could have fought back. You could have made a scene, but you kept your head. You stayed calm. I'm proud of you." I didn't say anything right away. I just nodded, blinking fast, trying not to let the tears win. But in that moment, something inside me shifted. For a long time, I thought my strength came from who my dad was, from the big last name, from the doors his reputation opened, from the way people listened when he spoke. I thought that's what made me valuable. But sitting in that car, hearing those words, I realized I was wrong. It wasn't just about who he was. It was about who I was. The way I carried myself. The way I stayed true to who I am, even when the world tried to paint me as something else. The way I didn't let her break me, not even when it hurt. And yeah, maybe to that flight attendant I was just another black kid in a hoodie, just another seat number, easy to dismiss, easy to control, easy to blame. But that day taught me something I'll carry for the rest of my life. I define me, not their fear, not their assumptions, not their ignorance. Me. And I was never going to let the world decide my worth based on what I looked like. Not ever again, because even if I walk on a plane and nobody knows my name, even if they don't know who my father is, even if I have nothing but my backpack and my peace, I still belong, and I don't have to prove that to anyone but myself.